are doing the Omnia from Art and Mod, and this is the PEEK version right here. Got the Unkwn boro in there with our Voltrove Mini RBA and a PEEK BMM Rook drip tip. So this mod has been covered in detail. I believe this was 780 euros. New from A&M, and seen one sell used the other day for like 500. Here we have stainless steel plates. Here is our base. Now this looks like a carbon fiber. It's actually a sticker. It's a decent texture. You know, this is just a base protector essentially, and I think it's a decent way to go about it. Thought it was considerate to include these in the orders. We have this like PEEK carbon fiber accent here, the battery tube cover, and here is also another carbon fiber accent right here. It's a very nice PEEK color, very smooth. If you ever had anything PEEK, it's a little darker than this creamish colored Unkwn boro right here. Very smooth threads on this. You have what looks like an adjustable base, which was not the case, and oh, got a little juice there. Stainless steel tubes here, and yeah, I noticed the threading was really smooth. Got the Art and Mod turtle on the battery cap. With all these screw-on types, it's always like the negative end is facing this here. The threads were really nice on this. This is a 21700. That's the other thing that's pretty interesting about it. You know, it's got like that 38 special vibe to it in its shape, or like a Orca type thing. Here's the one thing. I never had a mod that had a fire button down here. Also, this has a cutout. You could flip that out too. For different ones, he probably has a little Juma shaped, you know, Juma versions, different resin, whatever. But anyhow, never had a button like this, a fire button. And I gotta tell you, I can't seem to get used to it. It's very strange for me. I know like the French mods, their mod was like that. There's a lot of mods that utilize a fire button down here, and I never quite got into it. I had a Voodoo Suzy mech way back, and it also was like that. I noticed I end up accidentally hitting the wattage buttons too because of it. I know, you know, people say they get used to this. I haven't quite found my comfort spot with it yet, but I've only had this for a few days, so I'm still kind of getting the hang of, you know, that being comfortable. I will say this mod is not light. Here's the Art and Mod turtle here. Again, more carbon fiber, and the screen is pretty deep in there, as you can see, which is smart to have a recessed DNA60 large screen recessed in there. That was a good move. So putting this back in, it's got the same kind of startup screen that you will see. Sorry. Oh, this came off. I didn't even know this was magnetized like that. So that's cool. So that you could customize as well. Yeah, it's got that same startup screen as my Unica. Check atomizer. And so I wish this was a puff counter. I've always wished it was like that. You know, that's just kind of his thing. So here's the box. It's the same box as my my Unica box. So actually, this might even be the Unica one. I took them both out to compare. Both boxes look exactly the same. I guess if you bought the new Limitless, it would probably have the same kind of box. Here's this Boro here. We'll talk about this more later on in a different video maybe. Here it is with the Unica 18650, and this is 21700, and look, they're almost the same height. So here it is next to a billet box. You can clearly see how much bigger a billet is. Here it is next to a bow rat. Here it is next to a 21700 stash box, right? So the stash still is maybe just a tiny bit smaller in height. Okay, here we have it next to an Ion. And then here is the golden ticket, having it next to a 38 special, and 38 special is still a little bigger than the Omnia. Okay, so I would imagine that's one thing a lot of people would want to see, because otherwise they're very similar in their shape. I mean, you feel me? They're very similar in that regard. Of course, the screen is on the bottom on a 38. See, that's how you can tell it's a sticker. It's overlapped on all those screws there. This is really accessible in terms of like disassembly. You know, if you needed to take this apart, I've seen it done. It's doable. You shouldn't have to. Apparently, you know, the wiring on this is considered to be of good quality and everything. But, you know, just in case you're like me and you're not drying this off. I mean, it shouldn't be too bad with condensation if you're wicking properly. But, you know, usually open system boro mods like this are pretty good with condensation. Because so much air gets to them, they can dry out a little better. The moisture doesn't build up as easily, we'll say. Yeah, I mean, getting a good read here, 0.36. I think it was a 0.3 when I built it, so crackling away there with that Voltrove. Yeah, it's nice. It's like I said, it's got a lot of, you know, it's got stainless steel plates and rods, so and PEEK is a thick, sturdy material, so it's definitely got weight to it. You know, it's significantly heavier than I anticipated. I mean, once I got it, I'm like, oh, well, yeah, it makes sense that it's this heavy, but I don't know, it didn't really cross my mind until I got it that it was heavy like this. And I seriously want to thank Justin Johnson for this review. I got it from him free for review. It was very nice of him to let me try this out and make a video for you viewers out there. So thank you, Justin, for making this happen. Greatly appreciate it. Here's a block, 18650. Here it is with a Unific. So surprisingly, the Unific doesn't look that much smaller, and the Unific's tiny. So this is really small for a 21700. Here it is next to an authentic Delrin D650, and you know, D650 is a little shorter, but yeah. And this thing just dwarfs everything, the BM40. But yeah, I guess that's everything I have to add about the Omnia so far. You know, it's just built really well. If you like PEEK, you'll like this. I mean, he makes it in a bunch of other materials. I don't think we've seen any, have we seen any resin ones? Straight up resin? That I'm not sure. But I know he's done it in other materials, other stylings. He's kind of moved on already, so it seems like he went from the modder Alessandro. It seems like he went from the nameless, limitless, all the, the standard regulated mods, to making the Unica, which he was on for over a year, I would think. And then he came out with this 21700, and now he's on to making regular mods again with the limitless, what is it, Duo? But he's still making these, I think. He's got ones with engravings on them now, with laser engravings, so pretty cool. The recess screen is a great idea. It's just a personal preference, getting used to this this kind of fire button. I know a lot of people say they don't mind it, but so far I can't seem to get into it. Maybe if it wasn't rectangular too, like vertically rectangular, if it was like a big round button that I could just knuckle thumb. A lot of these mods, I actually don't fire them with my fingers. I realize that like I'm a double jointed kind of person, long skinny fingers. I end up pressing a lot of my mods fire buttons with my knuckles, whether it's like the inner thumb knuckle or inner finger knuckles like here. So I've noticed I've done a lot of this. I just hit it here with this knuckle. That's how a lot of these high-end mods, I just use my knuckle. If I were to use the tip of my finger like this on this side, I don't get a lot of purchase of it. I can hardly hold this thing like this because I can't put my finger here because I'll hit the wattage buttons, which I have. I've changed the wattage mid-firing. Oh, look, I locked it. So it's definitely, you got to really wrap your head around this whole fire button location thing. If you've already had mods that are that have this kind of fire button positioning and gotten used to them, then this shouldn't bother you. But for me, it's a force to be reckoned with. I'm not vibing with that kind of fire button yet. So we'll see if I do. But I was glad to borrow this and be able to show it off to you guys for review. And once again, thank you to Justin for making this happen. Justin he's in the groups often, and he's a nice guy. Works in a vape shop in Ohio, so you'll see him around if you're in the groups. And yeah, all right, guys, that'll do it. So here's the Omnia once again. All right. See you.